You could build a house this year with no construction experience. You don't need 10 or 20 years of real estate, and you don't need to know all the little details when building a house. You have to follow the simple 7-step framework that I use to build this $1.5 million spec home and over 200 doors to date. In this video, I'm gonna walk through everything from finding land all the way to the exit, depending if you're gonna build a personal house, an investment spec to sell, or even a rental property. Let's jump into the 7 steps. Step number 1 is finding the land. When you're looking at properties, there's only 2 different options. There's on the market, which is the MLS, Zillow, Redfin, or a real estate agent sending you those deals that were listed active. And then there's the off-market strategy. This is where you're talking directly to a property owner or a seller, and you're negotiating between them. Agents don't have to be involved, but they can be, but it's not listed on the market. 10 to 20% of what I do is here on the market. 80 to 90% is off-market. Now, to give you the comparison between on-market and off-market. On market is kind of like used car shopping. Why I say that is my background is auto industry. If you want to watch my story, you can click the link here to watch my entire story of going from the auto industry to real estate. This is how I relate. If I'm on Facebook and I'm shopping for an F-150 and all of them sell for, let's just say $30,000. Then I see a deal get posted for 25. What do? Hey, Mr. Seller, I saw you have the F-150. Do you still have it? Oh, you're actually the 10th person that called me. My phone is blowing up and I already have 2 people on their way that are gonna buy it. What does that mean? The MLS is super competitive when there's a good price. That's why I only do 10 to 20% because you have to have all cash. You've got to close really quickly. You have to waive all feasibility. That goes against everything that I believe in. When I jump to the off-market side, I'm directly negotiating with a property owner. What I do is I can negotiate the terms. I don't have to close quick. I don't have to close cash. I can do a 3-month contract. I could have enough time to get my plans approved, engineered, and I'll close on the land with permits approved in hand. And so I have the flexibility to negotiate with the property owner, both on the price and on the terms, and I have the ability to have seller finance. If you want to understand how seller finance goes, I've got a whole video on this, but essentially the seller can actually give me a loan for the land, so I don't need the cash to buy the land. I can actually leverage and put down 10, 15, 20% on the deal. Step number 2 is going to be making sure the deal actually pencils. Most people think, well, I think it's gonna work. I'll build it, I'll sell it, and hopefully I'll make a profit. You never purchase land until you're 100% sure that it's a good deal. There's 2 different sections. The first section is, can I actually build here? Then there's the second section, does this project pencil financially? On this first section, what do you need to build? You need the utilities, which is sewer, water, and power. That's the only 3 that you actually need. Gas and all these other things are optional. You can have Starlink for Wi-Fi for all we care. So sewer, water, power. Sewer, is it public sewer or is it septic? Water, is it public water or is it a well? Power, can you get power from the city or county or a private jurisdiction, or do you have to figure out a way to get power? Most likely, if there's other homes being built in the area, there is a way to get the utility. Now, a lot of times when it comes to being buildable, there's a cost to bring the utilities to the property, and that has to be accounted for on the second bucket, which is the financial side. When it comes to the financial side of a project, what I look for in a deal is a 25% ROI, return on investment. What does that mean? Land plus construction, and the profit margin or the money left over after the sale has to equal 25% of that total. Just to keep math super simple, on a $1 million cost project, land and construction, you should make $250,000. So half of that on $500,000 would be $125,000. If a project costs you $500,000, $125,000 is your safety net. If you end up selling it for less, you still make $75,000, $100,000 plus or minus. When it comes to those 3 different things, what I look for is sale price. So how much will a home sell for? 1.5 million. The cost of construction, $750,000, and the cost of land, roughly $300,000. You're looking at a project like this, $1,050,000 is the total cost, and then 1.4 to 1.5 is the sale price when it comes to the deal. Step number 3 is plans and design. Step 1 is the most important, finding the right land. Step 2 is second most important, making sure it pencils. Now that you've gotten about, I would say 70% of the project locked in, because all the profit is made right there, now your design gives you the edge. With plans and design, 1, choose a product that's already selling in your area. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to do something new or different. If there's duplexes in the neighborhood, build a duplex. Your advantage will be how you finish up the project. For example, this $1.5 million spec home, we did a lot of really unique features, just like this shelving right here. This pretty much cost us nothing. I wouldn't say it's free, but it's minimal to the budget. We did different cool tiles, textures. We did a hood in the kitchen, Portola splash in the guest bathroom. There's many different things, or powder bathroom. There's many things you could do that's gonna give you that edge. So one, understanding which product is being built. Two, making sure you have an open floor concept. Make sure everything is open and together. Don't put living, great room, and dining in separate rooms. Open them all up so they can see each other. Very important. Windows and lighting is important. And then those finishes, as I mentioned. When you're building a project, there's a builder spec grade. You can do builder spec grade, and then you can do minor upgrades that you can visually see. Don't upgrade to have nicer siding material or nicer roofing when those things last 30 years. Do nicer tiles, do finishes like this, do a drywall hood, do different paint colors. Those things are visible and don't hurt the budget when it comes to building and design. If you're watching this video and you're realizing the development game is a lot simpler than you think, you look yourself in the mirror and you think, why am I not doing this? You can click the link below, book a call with my team, and see if this is a good fit for you. We'll work together, walk you through the entire process, start to finish, of executing on your first or next development deal. And let's jump back to the video. Step number 4 is gonna be the permitting process. What this looks like is you're working with your drafter or your architect. Side note, you don't have to have an architect when you're drafting up your plans. A drafter is somebody that understands the building code, understands how it works, and usually they're half the price of an architect. They'll charge you around $1 to $2 per square foot. An architect is gonna be $2 to $10 per square foot. So I use mostly drafters. The only time I use an architect is when I'm building multifamily, if I'm building a 15-unit apartment, or anything that's over 4 units that requires an architect. So when it comes to the permitting process, it's between the drafter, the city and county, and you. What it looks like is it's just checks and balances and accountability. When the drafter submits the plan to the city or county, you reach out to the city or county and verify that they actually submitted the plans. What this is doing is this is making sure everybody's doing their job. So architect or drafter submits plans, you reach out to the city or county that holds the plans and say, did you receive them? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you go back to your drafter and say, what happened? Where are the plans at? Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to hit send. Great, then send the plans. If you waited a month to ask, you would have just wasted a month. Then once it's in submittal, you ask the city, hey, when do you plan to review the plans and get us back corrections or approval? They'll give you a date for that as well. And that's all you're doing, is you're verifying both parties are actually doing their job. In this case, I call it adult babysitting. This is the first step of you starting to adult babysit to make sure your project is moving through into a faster timeline. Step number 5 is finance. There's 2 different types of financing. There's the traditional side, which is the personal house game, or if you're getting a conventional loan to build a house, it's gonna be a little bit more. And then you have the private side, which is hard money lending or hard money loan. On the personal house game, you're backing the loan by your finances. Therefore, you can put 5% down. So on a beautiful home, a $500,000 build, you could put down $25,000 plus the closing costs, which are anywhere from 5 to 10 grand, and build your personal house because you're backing it. You can afford the payment with your active income. On the investment side, you're putting down 10% to 15 to 20%. This here depends on one, your experience level, the type of product you're doing, and it depends. For example, our build-up community is allowed to put 10% down because they are part of us. On the hard money side, this varies from 10% up to 25% depending on the type of deal, the structure, and the product. When you get 10% is dependent on 2 things. Either one, your experience level, or 2, for example, we have a builder program with our build-up community where you can put 10% down as part of build-up with our lender partners. So you have the 2 different variations. Here, they don't care about your finances. They don't check your taxes. They don't check anything. They may look at your credit score depending on if your credit is completely tanked or if you have a decent credit score, but this will not determine whether you get the loan or not. It determines the rate that you get for this loan versus the personal house game, which is really dependent on income and credit here. The difference between the 2, this one here is really simple, really easy. It's backed by the numbers. As long as the project pencils, they'll give you a loan here. This one is backed by your finances. To give a practical example on the hard money lending, if you're building a duplex, let's say cost you approximately $500,000 or $600,000 for the construction build, we'll call it $500,000. And then you've got the land for roughly $200,000, that's $700,000 for a duplex that let's say is worth about $1 million. This is on the West Coast. On the East Coast, you're probably looking at $300K to $400K for the construction and $100K for the land. We'll compare the 2. So $700,000 is land plus construction. You would have to bring down $70,000 of the $700,000, 10%, plus plus the closing costs, which will be around $15,000 plus or minus, you're into this duplex $85,000 on a $700,000 build. And you're gonna sell it and profit roughly $160,000 to $200,000 after all the closing costs, the finance fees, the agent fees, 5% to the agents. So your $80,000 to $85,000 is gonna profit $160,000, which is about 200% return on the down payment. If you're in the East Coast, let's say you're looking at $400,000 for the build and $100,000 for the land, that's $500,000. You would bring 10% of that total $500,000. So you'd bring $50,000 and you'd bring around $10,000 to $15,000 for the closing costs. So call it $60,000 to $65,000 and you'd make, let's say around $100,000 to $150,000 on the profit side. Still, you're doubling your down payment. So the $60,000 will turn into $120,000, $150,000. That really depends on the margin. If you're at a 25% return, you will get that $150,000 mark. If you're at less than that, you'll get closer to the $100,000 mark. So that's the breakdown of the finance side of things. One's backed by your finances, one's backed by the deal and making sure the numbers pencil. The beautiful thing about the personal house game is if you build the house, you move into it, it could be a duplex, it could be a triplex, or up to a fourplex as a personal. You can rent out the other units, live in one unit, and you live in it for 2 years. You're allowed to make a total of $250,000 of profit or up to $500,000 if you're married and file your taxes jointly, tax-free. You're not deferring the tax, you're not rolling it over into the next deal, just tax-free. You can make that profit, you keep it, and you can go do whatever you want with it. It's the IRS code topic 121 and topic 701. The reason this works is because you're creating that equity or profit through the new construction and development game. If you were to buy a single family home, live in it for 2 years, you might get yourself $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of equity. But if you were to build it, you create yourself $100,000 of equity. Now you get to capture that after living in it for at least 2 years. If you don't live in it for 2 years, you could still sell it, live in it for a year and sell it. You just have to pay the capital gain. Step number 6 is the construction side. This is where you're hiring a spec home builder that's gonna build for you at cost plus. What is cost plus? You're taking the total cost of construction, call it $400,000, and you're paying him 10 to 15% on top of that total fee. When you're working with a spec home builder, this is somebody that specializes in finding land and building projects and being efficient and making sure they're profitable. A custom home builder is gonna mark up all their fees and make all their money in the trades and in the actual construction. A spec home builder simply makes their profit on the actual builder fee. When it comes to the construction game, your only role here is to make sure that he stays within budget and stays on schedule. You sign the builder contract, you have a budget and schedule built out. When it comes to making sure a project stays within a budget, what we like to do is bid out every single trade with the builder, lock in all those prices, lock in contracts with every single subcontractor, and now you have a predictable budget moving forward into the project, knowing what it's actually going to cost. Why I like the real estate development game is because I can take a build like this and know what it's actually going to cost. When it comes to the remodel game, you open up some walls, you find new issues, you find termites, you find structural issues, there's rough-in issues with electrical, plumbing, you name it. When it comes to this game of development, you've gotten all the bids for all the trades. There is no unknowns or there aren't any things that become unexpected. The only time there's a change order, if you decide to make a change order, like we did in this home, we did a nicer hood, we did nicer cabinets, we did under cab lighting, things like that, that we made the decision on. So we increased the budget, but we also increased the value of the project. Step number 7 is the exit strategy. You could have the personal house game where you move into the home and enjoy it and live in it for as long as you'd like with a 30-year mortgage, or you would build a spec to sell. If you're building a spec to sell, you have to furnish the home. Furnishing it gives it a much bigger feel. Whenever a home is built out on the floor plan, it doesn't feel as big as when you add furniture. So it doesn't matter the size. This is a 3,500 square foot, $1.5 million spec home. We still furnished it because somebody can actually see the space. Most people can't envision or imagine. When you're doing a home that is a spec home for sale, please hire a new construction agent, somebody that specializes in selling these new construction homes. Don't just hire your aunt or your uncle or your cousin that got a real estate license or passed the test. That's not the move. Then you have the build to rent. If you're building to rent, you just want to make sure that you get the home built, you put the tenant in place, And now that you have a stabilized tenant, you can go refinance with the local credit union for a 30-year mortgage. I did that with one of my duplexes, and I was able to get almost a personal house game rate because I had the tenants in place. They saw the cash flow, so they were comfortable with the payment and the debt to income ratio. So when you do that, you want to make sure you get the tenant in place. And also when you're choosing finishes, you want to be careful with the finishes. Maybe do some more durable finishes, or not white, but a gray paint on the walls. I did plastic tubs instead of tile, so that again, I know tenants are going to be using the space. I'm able to be efficient and have the right product for the right area. If you watch this video and the entire 7-step process and you want to execute on a project or take your development game to the next level, click that link below, book a consultation with our team. We'll map out a strategy for you and see if it's a good fit. If it is, you'll have a personalized group chat and my personal contact information, and we'll be getting on weekly Zoom calls breaking down deals, markets, funding, everything that entails building out a project, whether it's a duplex, single family home, or a full-on development. We have over 100 doors in the pipeline for our projects. We're super active in this game, and the build-up community has over 286 doors in the pipeline as well. So altogether, we're breaking over 350 doors in the current market in this current state. If that's you, you want to get in this game and you want to work alongside us, hit that link below. And as always, let's build up.